Hello Nordango students and welcome to the third tutorial on programming using Scratch, where we'll be looking at conditionals and evaluating if-else. So in this one we're going to be exploring the use of if-else statements and nested loops when controlling sprites on a screen. So let's have a look at this in action. And the first thing we want to do is we're going to have two sprites. We're going to have our cat and we're going to have a crab. So let's search for a crab and we will move this over here. I'm going to make the cat move all the way until it touches the crab. So let's say repeat until. So we're going to say repeat until. We're going to get an event, which is the flag, and we'll say when it's touching so using the sensing this time, when it's touching, not the mouse pointer, but the crab. So when it touches the mouse pointer. So I want it to keep doing this until it touches the crab. So I want it to keep moving, and we'll move the X here, change X by 10. So we want to keep moving until it touches the crab, like so. And I wanted to say, oops, oh, there we are. I want to say, ouch, like so. So if I press play, he then says, ouch, when he touches it. So that's one way of us doing our conditional here. Okay, we've got a repeat here, and we're saying repeat until it touches something. We're saying we repeat until the condition, then it does something. And when it's finished doing that, then it will then end that loop. Okay, so it will do this condition, it will do this loop while this condition is true, and then it will finish. So I'll put this here. So that's one. Let's have a look at another thing as well. Let's have a look at something called a if else here. So if basically means if something is, then it will do it. Otherwise, it won't do it. In this case, it says if a condition is true, then it will do it, else it will do something else. Okay? So I'm going to take the if else, and I'm going to say again I'm going to go to the sensing here, I think. Here we go. And key space pressed. And I'm going to say, if I press the key, then if I press the space, then make cornflakes for breakfast. Okay, I'm going to copy that. Actually, let's say duplicate there, and we'll say have toast for breakfast. So if I play this time without pressing the space bar, it will say have toast for breakfast, because this if is not true. If I press my space bar now and I press the green flag, it will then say make cornflakes for breakfast, because this is true. Okay? We can also we can have a look at logical operators. For example, and, or not. So in this case, I can look at two conditions when I do this. So if I go to my control, I can then say, if condition is true, then do this, else it's false, then do this. I'm going to put this in here. I've got two conditions. So this time I'm going to say, go to sensing here, I'll say 2 key presses. and drag these into here, like so, and then drag the green one into the if condition part, the condition. I'll say if the right arrow and if the left arrow, and then I will say some looks here. So I'll say you are pressing both the left and right buttons. And I'm going to duplicate this. So I right click, duplicate, drag it down here. You are not pressing the both right and left buttons. Okay, so if I play this time, so if I play, it says I'm not pressing both buttons because I'm not pressing both buttons. If I press one of these buttons, it will now say you are not pressing those buttons, so I have to press both because it's and. If I press both left and right, it now says you are pressing both the left and right buttons. Same can be done. This is and means both have to be true. If I go to or, only one of the conditions needs to be met. So if I go to or, only one of them. So if I press the left button, it will say you are pressing both left and right buttons. So or means one has to be true, and means both have to be true. And something to have a look at is that over here I did the repeat until touching crab and then change X by 10, so it keeps moving until it touches the crab, and then it says ouch. There is lots of different ways of programming something that has the same outcome. So here we've got one way here, but I can also do it a different way. So if I take my my flag, and I will say, I'm going to say, instead of my flag here, I'm going to say when I press the right arrow, then I'm going to move X by 10. So I will go right. Okay. And this time I will go to my control and I will choose if. I'll just choose one if without the else. So if it's touching the crab, then it will say ouch. Okay, so every time I press the right arrow, it then checks to see if it's touching the crab. Okay, it's the same way of doing it as this piece of code here. The only difference is that rather than the computer controlling the Scratch cat, it's the user. So if I press my right arrow, I keep pressing like so, it now says ouch because it's touched it. So your challenge now is to make a bird flap around the screen, which you've done already from tutorial 3, from the previous tutorial. And when it touches an apple this time, then the apple will disappear. So let me just show you the example on the screen. And so if I press the play button this time, you'll see all the apples appear. And my bird is flying and flapping around the screen. And as it follows the cursor, and then it will eat all the apples like so. I'm going to hit stop. So of course, when I press play, all the apples will appear. When the bird touches the apples, they will disappear. You're going to have to find the one where for show and hide. And thank you very much for watching this tutorial, Nordangus students, and I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial.